Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio, and I've been MIA for a while. I just have been busy with other things and not really doing as much crafting. I have done a little bead work, making some Kumihimo bracelets. Let's see. This is with embroidery floss. This is with a thicker kind of twiny stuff. There we go. And then I decided to get my beads out. I've got some memory wire, so I made this little thing. It's not great. It's my first one. Whoops, I got two there. But these were some beads that my mother had, and I decided to string them together. She actually had them on a string. She just never finished the whatever it was she was making. So I took them off and put them on this bracelet for my sister. I also made a couple of others just for fun. I'd seen where somebody used metal springs on their memory wire, and I thought, oh, well, I've got the tools to make those and the wire, so I did that. And then this was a thinner wire, this green one, and I don't know if you can see it, but I took two strands and twisted them together to make it a little bit thicker. And I thought that came out really cute. You may notice the rainbow theme. That was for, or is for, Pride Month. But I just also like the colors. I mean, who am I kidding? So, and then I did this one. All of these are with memory wire. Oh, there we go. So it's just fun. I just got a little white seed bead type thing in between them there just to space them out a little bit. And then I made these on stretch cord for myself. Again, these were some of my mom's beads. And I just decided to put them together and make myself a little bracelet. So, or two, that's two bracelets. So I've been working on that. I have been in the rabbit hole of YouTube crafty videos for not just Kumihimo, but for macrame bracelets. I'm gonna definitely try some of those. I think they're beautiful. There are some great patterns out there, and when I get around to that, and I've practiced a little bit because I've never done macrame, and I've never done anything fancy with Kumihimo, but I will definitely bring some of those videos to you, as well as the inspiration for those videos, because there's some really great makers out there. So, but today I wanted something easy. I cleaned off my desk a little. I'm zoomed way in so you can't see that it's still very crowded. I did make these beads. I've got some bigger ones that then I glazed with diamond glaze. These just have the Elmer's glue all and water sealant on them, and I wasn't super happy with it. Maybe, you know, I tried them before and I had too much water to glue. This time I think I don't have enough water to glue, but I did use the diamond glaze on the others. I might as well just grab them and show you, and I think they turned out really nice, even with the two coats of the glue varnish stuff on them. If I could remember where I put, oh, right here in front of my face in my strawberry container. So let me put them in this lid here, see if that'll kind of, well, they want to roll around. Let me get them on the same spot. So those are my rainbow colored beads from some prints from Creative Fabrica, and then these were circle cut, so that's I've shared that file before, I think, but if not, and you can't find it, let me know and I'll share it again. But basically it's ovals put together in descending sizes so that you can create kind of almost a flower petal look around the edges. And I don't know how well that shows up with these colors on there, but, and then I also just made some more of my favorite little cone bead, I guess is what they're called. I'm not a bead expert, but I've also been watching this girl. If you like making jewelry, and I'm definitely new to the jewelry genre. I mean, I've made stuff for kids, but I've never made nice stuff. Becky Foster makes beautiful jewelry. She does these bead kits, and she puts together some amazing stuff, and she's really thorough in her descriptions. I'll link her below just because I've been watching a lot of her videos lately. I've even asked to buy, well, I hinted that I wanted to buy a piece, but she apparently doesn't sell her stuff. So I was a little disappointed in that, but she makes beautiful stuff. And like I said, she tries a variety of techniques. It just depends on what she gets in the bead box and what she's in the mood to make, I guess. But her videos are very informative. If you haven't made jewelry but you've been thinking about it, I would definitely recommend Becky Foster, and that's B-E-K-I, I think. Could be B-E-C-K-I, but it's Becky Foster. I'll link her below. So anyway, I'm back to making beads today because, like I said, I cleaned off my desk and I just wanted something kind of easy to work on. So I cut this file. Let's actually switch over to my Design Space file. Okay, so this is the file. I've just recreated this one for a couple of reasons. So we're going to go in and talk about this. I'm going to zoom it out a little bit, maybe get my fingers to work. So it's just a basic triangle that I have blunted the tip a little bit. I probably blunted it a little bit more than I wanted to, just because I feel like this cuts nicer when you get this straight edge instead of the pointy edge. But then I also trimmed off the ends where I start rolling the bead, because that's something I've been doing by hand, just because I think it helps get the rolling process going quicker and easier. And I'd seen somebody else do it, and I actually really like that idea. So I've just set it up in the file that way. So they cut pretty nicely. Let's see, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Hey, I can count to 22. There's 22 to a sheet. This is made for an 8.5 by 11, but you could certainly adjust the sizing if you wanted to work on 12 by 12 or some other size. So I'll share this file below. I call it the ECS for Expressions Craft Studio. I'm so original. And a 1/2 inch tapered bead on 8.5 by 11. But like I said, you can adjust it to a different size paper if you want. So this is what I cut out. Now let's flip back to our work surface. So I rolled the first one because I had one that I'd previously done that I really liked the size on and the finished shape on. But it's different because even though it's essentially the same bead, I rolled it with a much bigger hole. Oops, let's get it over here so you can see it. This was on my knitting needle, which is a 0.4 or 4.0 millimeter, or a number 6. I actually wanted a smaller hole, and so I have trouble rolling them on the toothpicks, even though I tried. So I gave up with the toothpick and got out my quilling tool to roll them. And it's not ideal because I'm using 65-pound cardstock. It's a tight fit, but you can get it in there if you work with it. So you can see the beads are very similar. There we go, but different. Now this one's already been glazed, and this is just a clear polyacrylic glaze with some, let's see, some Pearl X powder in it, and it's the micro pearl color. So that's why it looks a little different. But these are both off-white papers. And you can see, I think you can see, that the shape's a little bit different, and it's only strictly based on the fact that I used a different size tool to roll my bead. So I actually would like something kind of in between that, where it's not as big or not as small. Now these are great if you're working with a thicker string, or if you're going to be running the string through, from both directions, which I have done to close my Kumihimo Pride bracelets. But if you're just using a regular beading wire or stretch cord, you really do want the smaller hole, unless you're going to use a bead cap, which you can certainly do. So, and like I said, I'm not an expert on jewelry making. This is just my amateur thoughts on it. I could have made the tip a little bit finer. As you can see, it is a little bit finer on the previous one I did, but I like it. I'm happy with the shape of the bead. So then I decided, well, let's color those edges. And I came up with this, and I think that's really kind of cool. It reminds me of, I used purples and pinks, but it kind of reminds me of Hispanic, the Mexican colors. They're always so bright and cheerful. And that's what it made me think of when I got it done. So then I decided to stick to something a little bit more, whoops, there we are. Come on. Just blues and purples, which is really kind of my favorite colors anyway. Blues, purples, pinks. And I used these markers from Crayola Signature that I've had for years, and they still work great because I say because I store them at an angle, but they're dual tip markers, so but both ends still work great. And like I said, I've probably had them for 5-6 years. And I got them because I had an adapter for my Cricut that I could color with, but I don't actually like coloring with them that way because the ink tends to bleed and you get those drop point dots. So I've still got them sitting over there, and I thought, well, let's get them out and use them. I've also got some gel pens, glitter gel pens, that I'm going to grab here in a little while and just see what those will do. But yeah, these are Crayola Signatures. I've also got some regular Crayola markers. And that's what I did. Anyway, those are the ones, that's what I did this blue one here with. I just moved my camera. I'm so sorry because I'm having trouble finding it. But I like that. Now, what I didn't do on this first one was I didn't color the edges. So when you look at it from the side, you can see the cream color of the cardstock. So on this one, I colored the edges. I was like, well, I'm not going to do that again. So yeah, it definitely shows up better. And that's the same bead, same size, even though they look different sizes. Here we go. Maybe if I get them together. So I thought I'd do one more and show you just how I did it. And this time I'm going to use these Papermate Flare markers. So, back to school is a really good time to get some of this stuff because they have it out in abundance. Lots to choose from. Probably the best prices you're going to get. But you either use what you have. If you're a hoarder, craft hoarder like myself, you've probably got all of this kind of stuff. Or, you can even use your kids' crayons. It's going to look different, but there's no reason you can't use them. So I thought I would try this pink and purple and blue color scheme next. I'm going to do it kind of like that. That is almost coral looking. I probably won't use that one. So we're going to take another one of these strips. Oh, and I just happen to have one right here. And I have been starting with the dark color toward the center. Yeah, let's just be consistent. Let's do it that way. And then I ended up recycling a color on this one, which is why I've also got it on the end. All right, so we're going to start, and what I did was, I'm sorry, I've run out of room here. Just color the edges. So, just wherever. Oh, now this one's kind of dry. I hadn't used this one in a while. So I might not be able to use these too much. Now you could also, if you've got stamp pads, you could definitely ink these. Or you could print out a colored sheet of paper or, with some design on the paper, which is what I did with those ones I just showed you previously. The difference with that is it doesn't color the edges. So depending on what you're using and the look that you're going for, you might want to color those edges. I like to color them with my gold ink pad or my black ink pad. And so now I'm just coloring the edges here, trying to. It's very fine tip here. It's got plastic up to the end of the tip, so it's not as easy to do with these. In fact, I don't know that I'm not having a lot of luck here, because you got to get it right down by the tip to get it to color. Yeah, I don't know about this. So these might not be the best for this, which makes me think, now that I think about it, the jelly sparkle marker or pens might not be the best either, just because trying to get this edge. Now if I didn't want to get this edge, or if I wanted to do it in a different color, that would be okay. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and try to finish this one. We'll see. So that was a dark blue. These do not have the color names on them, but that was like a royal blue. Here's more of a, I wouldn't say it's sky blue necessarily, but it's definitely a lighter blue. And the reason you don't have to color the whole strip is because obviously you're going to be covering it up, which is something I want to throw this out there in case you're not aware. There are several people who sell printable templates that you can cut with. Either you can get the PDF and cut them yourself by hand, or you can, this one colors a little bit better, or you can use your Cricut or whatever, Silhouette, scan and cut, whatever you've got. But what they do is they do not print the design on the whole template. They only print it on the outside edges, and then it's blank in the middle. That way it saves ink. You know, and that's even what they call them, I believe, is ink saver designs. You can find them on Etsy if you look for paper bead templates. I didn't have any trouble finding them. There was not very many people who made them that I found, but the ones that I did find were nice. And I also found a couple, not very many, and when I say a couple, I mean a couple, on Creative Fabrica. But it gives you an idea. If you just want to play with it and test it, it's kind of a nice way to do that. So, especially if you're printing them, because it does save ink. So let's go with this like light lavender. See, this one works good too. So it's just the navy one that didn't really work as well. But you know, 1 out of 3 so far is not bad, right? And I'm not measuring my distances here. I'm just doing till I get tired of doing, and then I'll pick up another color. You want to blend that a little better. But when I'm using, if I were to color the edges with gold or black or blue or whatever, I have found the easiest way to do that. And you can do it by, you know, kind of using your ink dauber and doing that. But I found the easiest way to do it is just run it along the ink pad gently, and it works really well for me. Doesn't require a lot of pressure unless you have a really dry ink pad. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep that on the edge there. That looks good. So anyway, I feel like I was in the middle of a thought and forgot what it was, but that's okay. So I used the blue, and then that. So now we're going to use this darker purple. And we'll just come down to about here. This one's closer to being like the navy. It's not quite dried out, but it's getting there. But like I said, I have had these for probably 5 years, if not longer. Just want to make that a little wider. And then come down a little further. Now you can do any color combinations that you like, of course. Let's see here. Let's do this edge. On the first bead I showed you, well, one of the first ones, I didn't even use a color. I just put that white micro pearl in my polyacrylic and brushed it on. And it gave it a really nice pearlescent finish on an off-white cardstock. I feel like it's not quite getting the edge all the way. I have bifocals. I think I was teasing somebody and I said I needed quadrifocals because I need one with a magnifying lens on it. I don't know what the other one's for, just for emergencies, I guess, but let's try. not easy to do, because I don't know if you can see it, but this tip is plastic all the way up to almost the very tip. I had that zoomed in really close, so it looked like there was a lot more ink tip than there actually is. Or maybe I'm just really blinder than I think I am. It has been 4 years. 4 years since I got my eyes checked, so it's probably time to do that again. Just trying to get that a little bit closer to the end. Okay, whew. So that's done. So now I've got this kind of raspberry color and a kind of a lighter raspberry color. Let's see which one we like next to that. That's pretty reddish purple. And this one, well, it looks like it's the same. So, okay, let's go. And you can always reuse your colors. Let's use this one. And I'll probably just take this one all the way to the end. And I'm trying to actually color the side on its side, or like this, instead of trying to hold it up and do it. You know what, that was a lot easier, just doing it, holding it down and just running it against the edge of the cardstock. Now it does dry a little bit lighter, so we will use this one. I went back and looked at my samples, and it does dry out just a teeny bit lighter. So we'll put the light pink on the very end here. And you will want to, at some point, you're going to want to color in the whole thing, because it will show if you don't go far enough up the strip. Now I went further than I needed to, but that's okay. And again, I'm just going to hold that down and run it along the edge here. And the same thing on the tip. Let me see here. Does that look like I got it all? Could do a better job maybe, but Alright, we'll go with that. Alright, so then you want to relax your strip, and you can do that any way you want. I actually use the side of my desk. Let me see if I can move my camera here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And I just kind of lay it right there, put my hand on, and then pull. And I do it a couple times because I'm wrapping this so tight. I want to make sure it's nice and flexible. Alright, so let's come back to here. And somewhere over here I have my, it was sticking out of that, so it's not this one. Maybe it is this one. So then I'm just going to work this into the slot on my quilling tool. They do make tools. There are people who make tools for this, and I was going to try and make some of my own, but I think I need to get this slotted pins instead of these cotter pins, because even with these I can't get the hole quite as small as I want it. I bought an assortment, and this is the smallest. Well, maybe it's not the smallest. Oh yeah, those are the same size. So those are that's the smallest I have. But they go way up to, like, this is a big one for a big hole. Is that, I've got 3. Is this the same size as those other 2? Now see here, I've gone and got distracted again. This might actually, this one is a little smaller. So this one might make a nice hole. You know what? I'm going to try it with this one that I curled earlier that I didn't color. Now ideally you want a handle on this, something that'll make it easier to hold on to. But I haven't got around to making my handles yet with my polymer clay, so Oh, that's tight to get in there. So let's see if I can spread that open a little bit. I need a tool. My fingernails are so thin and brittle. Okay. Now what do we do? Let's go. Let's do it this way. Once I get it in there, I may never get it out. Okay. So I'm just going to work that up to the end there, so the edge is lined up with the edge of the cotter pen, and then I'm going to roll it. And like I said, ideally you'd want a handle for this. Okay, I'm going to try and, or at least a pair of pliers, which I just put all my pliers away. I'm trying to pull it tight so I don't get those wrinkles in it. What I probably will have to do is just adjust the positioning of the layers once I get it glued on. Yeah, this is definitely not ideal without a handle. Okay, I'll glue it down. Then we'll see if we can even get it off the pen. And we'll see how big that hole is. I think I got enough glue on there. So try and keep that in the center. And it's not, so I'm going to slide it over. There we go. Put my pen back in. And you can see I didn't keep everything centered, but as long as you don't glue it as you're doing it, you can reposition some of that. But I'm going to try and slide it off of there. Oh, all right. So I'm going to push it down one way, then I'm going to push it down the other. It kind of loosens everything up, and then I'm going to work it back toward the center. Got something on there. It probably was on the cotter pen. There you go. So I haven't looked yet. How big is our hole? Oh, okay, that's not bad. It's better than those. It's a little bit bigger than those. So I just need to get my handle made for my cotter pens, and that'll work. And then you can go in and smooth out that that little lip that gets created from where you started just by inserting your little needle tool, which is from I've got mine from my quilling kit, but there are other people who make them as well, and just kind of rolling it around in there to flatten that down. Yeah, so there you go with the cotter pen. All right, so now let's go back to this one because I want to see what it looks like with the colors we chose, or colors I chose. I say we. Again, I'm just working that over to the edge because that's where I like it, but you could let it hang out a little bit and then smooth it out when you're done. That's up to you. So we're just going to start rolling it. And you can roll this towards you or away from you. I have found it doesn't make a lot of difference. In my case, I still struggle to keep it centered, which is why I just kind of don't glue as I go, and I just reposition everything at the ends. And that's probably not ideal, but that's what works for me. Some of this ink is transferring to my fingertips. So this is what I mean about you want to make sure you color far enough up the strip because you want to cover up that white spot. And we did. I think the bigger tool that you used for your to start with is going to determine how far up you need to go. But we did good. That looks pretty centered. Okay. So I slide it off. I just use my fingernail to make sure it all comes out of there, because sometimes the center wants to linger behind. And again, you know, you can see it's a little bit off. And I'm just going to give it some gentle love nudges to get everything kind of centered up. And there you go. And you can see where I kind of missed some areas. So those Papermate flares weren't ideal, but they're okay. I like the colors, just not necessarily the way they colored. So let me see, should we, I don't think I want to do one with the glitter markers, or if I do, I'll have to color the edges with something else. But I wanted to show you, and I think I've showed you before. So this was the one that I didn't add any color to, and it's just got the micro pearl in the polyacrylic on the glaze. This is the same one, the same bead, except after I rolled it, I used watercolor paint to paint the bead, and I like the way that looks. It's kind of a, I don't know, it's a different look. And then there's polyacrylic, and it's probably got a little bit of the micro pearl in it too. There we go, there's a better look. And I think those are nice looking beads. The holes are a little bit bigger than I needed them, but I was just learning how to make the beads, and for me that knitting needle worked well because of the size of it. So anyway, we need to color these or finish making them, and I'm kind of thinking I will finish them and then watercolor them because I like the way that looks. So I'm just going to work with the rest of my strips here, and then I'll decide, because I'm always changing my mind. It drives my husband crazy, but you know, my prerogative. Isn't that a song? My prerogative? I don't know. If it's not, it should be. So anyway, yeah, I'm just kind of starting to put stuff away. So that's the deal today. But I am going to promise you, I'm going to turn some of my mom's beads into sun catchers, and so we'll play with that because I really have everything I need. I've got jump rings. I've got the like the key ring things that are slotted, you know, that you got to pull them apart to get your keys on. I've got wire. I've got wire jigs. I've got fishing line that I've been using to glaze my beads, string them up and glaze them. So we're all set. We're going to definitely do some sun catchers because those will look so pretty in my kitchen windows. And then I can take, I'm going to embarrass myself here, but then I can take down my Christmas ornaments. Oh my gosh. It's June of 2025 and my 2024 Christmas ornaments are still hanging in the kitchen window. Yeah, no joke. Everything else is down, but we just left them up because they're pretty and we're lazy, and yeah, so it'll give me an excuse to take those down. By the time I take them down, it'll be time to put them back up. All right, guys. Well, I hope you found that as amusing as I found it. I laugh at myself all the time. I didn't used to, but as I've gotten older, I found that really is, it really is beneficial. All right, so I'm going to say goodbye. Hopefully this isn't too long. Looks like we're at the 33-minute mark. Until next time, guys, I hope you have a happy, crafty day. And stay cool out there. Man, it is hot.